Welcome back to another episode of Important Miscellaneous Talks. I'm your host, Glassfield Crossfield, and today we have the world-renowned dating app expert. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate this opportunity. So my name is Graham Cam, and I do help men with building a better dating online presence. So I help guys who are super busy with, if they're on that 9 to 5 grind, working 40, 60-hour weeks, and they don't really have that much time to go meet women in person. I help them find their dream quality women, and I help them beat the dating app algorithm, because let's face it, a lot of guys say that the algorithm is against them. They say that the system doesn't want them to win. And with a very easy process that I help them with, that doesn't require them to do anything extra except a few little minor changes on how they market themselves on the dating apps. I help them achieve that so they can be that man that attracts all kind of quality women on the dating apps.
Now, I hear a lot, I watch some of the Red Pill stuff and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So I hear oftentimes is that like the top 20, 10, 5% men are the ones who are truly winning on the app. The average man doesn't stand a chance on the app. So have you found that to be true?
Well, number one, the answer is no for me. And the reason why, the first thing I do is when somebody tells me that, right? If I have like a potential client that is on a call with me and he's interested in working with me, but that is a statistic that stays in his mind, I always say, well, first of all, what's the right statistic? I hear top 1%, I hear top 5%, I hear top 10, 15, 20, right? What's the right statistic? The other thing is this, like I say, I always give them some clarity on who I am. I'm 5'9". I'm not a millionaire. I'm not like ripped jack six pack abs type guy, but I know how to present myself well on the dating apps. And really, dating apps is just gamification and marketing. And when I refer to gamification, it's about understanding how to beat the algorithm. And when you understand how to beat the algorithm, then everything just comes out so much easier for you. First of all, I know in the red pill they talk about like you got to be a certain kind of skin color and stuff. Like as you can see, I'm not white skin, I'm Middle Eastern. And you would think that, oh, white girls don't want Middle Eastern guys, right? Or white girls won't talk to certain type of like races or whatever. But I mean, it's about how you market yourself. Like I'm wearing a nice shirt for this call, right? And I'm wearing, a chain and everything. This is how I dress on the dating apps too. And this is how I dress in person. So when the girl sees a dose of who I am on the apps, it intrigues her. It sparks her curiosity. Then she's like, well, let me message this guy and see what he's all about. And then when she messages me and she sees that I'm congruent to how I present myself on the bio, I'm congruent in how I express my thoughts by the photos that I post. And when she sees me in person, it's like a done deal. She knows that she made the right decision. But before she knows that she made the right decision in person, she knows that she made the right decision on the app, because again, how I present myself and how I speak to her and how I stand out on the dating app, I know I can go ahead of the 99% guys that don't know what they're doing, because most of the time the reason that guys don't get matches is because they just don't know how to market themselves. That's really what it is.
Now, are you so good at what you do that you're able to get the average guys with some of the better looking women?
Absolutely, 100%. My clients that I have right now, they're part of the Grand Mail community. That's like my background right here, the Grand Mail. That's my company that I started officially like LLC'd in November of 2021. Since then, thank you, I appreciate that. Since I've been working with them, my guys are not Fabios. They're not like Chads or Tyrone type looking guys. They're just guys who, there are guys that just need a little bit of like, either they need some more fashion sense. And you know what it is? Like, I think it's an attitude that they need to develop. And I'm not saying attitude like a negative attitude. They need a better outlook of who they are in life. A lot of guys who consider themselves average, they just have a really crappy mentality of how they perceive themselves. They are still facing trauma. They're still facing some unhealed emotions that they haven't addressed. And what they do is they take one situation, like I had uh, calls with clients that they take one little bit of information that had a negative experience, and then they use that to pretty much showcase that, oh, this is what the future looks like. See, I can't get girls because this is happening. And I tell them, well, let's dive into it. Why do you think this is happening? Well, that one time in the past, I went up to a girl and I said this to her, and she rejected me. So that's why I'm an average guy. And then my analysis is like, just make the long story short. I say, let me ask you a question. Do you feel that you had a fair, do you feel, how much out of 0 to 100%, how much does that girl really know you? From 0 to 100. 100, she really knows you. 0, she doesn't even know you. He says, like 1%. I said, okay, that's a fair statement. 1%, she knows you for 1%, right? Do you believe that's a fair and accurate representation of who you are as a man? And they say, no. And I say, okay, so she rejected you off like a 2 to 5 second to a 1 minute conversation you had with her. She's not intrigued by you. And she has the right to say no. She has the right to change her mind at any time, even if you invested 3 hours of conversation. She can change her mind and say, I'm not interested anymore. So what I'm trying to get these guys to understand is that that one little interaction of being considered average is irrelevant to you. And also, you can do the same approach they did with that one chick who thought you were average, but the next chick that you talk to, she doesn't think you're average. She thinks you're a stud. And the last thing I'll say about this is I also tell them, do you believe before working with me, when you're just kind of alone, doing your own thing, trying to figure this all out, which is a mistake a lot of guys make. They think we're very prideful. Guys who are very prideful and have a lot of ego. They're like, oh, I don't need a dating coach. I can do this on my own. And I'm like, all right, well, good luck with that because you're going to not be getting the results that you want. And I tell them, okay, do you believe prior to working with me, do you feel, client, that you were at the most authentic level of where you are in the present moment right now? And they say no. I say, there you go. Your insecurities are a result of inauthenticity. Or excuse me, the insecurities that you have are because you're inauthentic. The trauma that you're facing, even though it's real and it happened to you, that doesn't define the man that you are. It doesn't define your character. So what my job is to get these guys who are super insecure about their looks, their height, because again, I'm 5'9", I'm not 6 feet tall. I don't own a sports luxury car. I live in an apartment, a 1-bedroom apartment, 1 bed, 1 bath. I'm not living super rich, but I get tons of results because up here is fixed. And I know that when I get rich, I'm going to crush it even more because I just have more money to spend. But it doesn't mean I'm tricking with girls. Doesn't mean I'm going to be simping for girls. This game that I have right now, this level of competency and communication and dating, is just going to be amplified because I have more money. That's it. Nothing changes. I just have more money.
Dope. I like that. So I actually heard from I think his name is Jose Zuninga, something like that. He has a channel, I think it's called like Men's Fashion, something like that. He's been on the Fresh and Fit podcast. Yeah. So I remember he said, there's no such thing as an ugly guy. He said, even if you're a 3, he said you can get in the gym, you can eat better, you can work on your social skills, you can get a raise, you can start a business, and if you do all those things and you stay focused and you do the job internally, the bare minimum you could be an 8. So if you put the work in, even if you're quote unquote ugly, that's the thing about being a man. You have other ways you can climb the ranks.
Right, but I want to make sure that the viewers of the Fresh and Fit viewers and also the people you're referring to the Fresh and Fit podcast, right?
I
The
was
guy who appeared on the show?
I was referring to a guest on that show. He's not there
Yes,
frequently though.
correct. So Jose Zuniga was his name?
Zuninga, I believe. I have
Yeah,
to send you his name
I
after.
think it's probably Zuniga because I've heard that as like a last name as well for the Hispanic culture. So Jose Zuniga, who was in that show, I understand where he's coming from, but I also want guys to understand because I know Fresh and Fit is all about like being a high value man. I'm like very familiar with their content. With Jose, the thing that I want guys to understand and all the viewers of your show to understand as well is that yes, like hitting the gym is good. Having nicer cars and clothes and all that kind of stuff can make you a more appealing looking man, but it doesn't mean you're fixed up here. See, I have like I gotta share this story to give you some context. I was out in downtown area where I live, and then I went to I was at this bar, and there's this one handsome looking Indian dude that was over there, and I was like, okay, this guy looks like he's probably in the nightclub industry. He looks like he's probably in hospitality. I'm like, let me just talk to him and see maybe he's a cool guy to network with. So I go up to him and I start talking to him, and then I ask the guy, so hey man, what do you do for work? He said, I'm a yogi. So these are like people who do yoga and they're like all about spirituality and stuff. So I'm thinking, okay, cool. He's a yogi. So this guy is all about the present moment and I'm all about the present moment. So I said, so let me ask you a question. What do you do to stay in the present moment? And his response was not what I was expecting at all. In fact, it was a horrible response. It was a ridiculous response. The guy's like, I don't know if you can cuss on the show, but like, I don't mess with girls, right?
Okay.
right? And I'm using the, I don't want to, I don't know if I can cuss on the show or not, but like,
Go ahead, be yourself.
okay, cool. He said, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Appreciate that. He said, I don't fuck with bitches. I'm like, huh? I'm like, first of all, the music's super loud. It's kind of hard to hear what he said. I'm like, wait, did you say you don't fuck with bitches? He's like, yeah. And in my head, I'm thinking, this guy's a fucking yogi. He's a fucking yogi. Yogi, spiritual, meditate, all that shit. They don't say that kind of stuff. So I said, then I asked him a question, which I usually ask my clients when they say something ridiculous like that. I say, what do bitches have to do with being present in the moment? It's like, cause bitches are this, bitches are that, and these girls distract you. They take you away from your mission, your purpose. And in my head, I'm thinking like, in my head, I'm like, that's not my reality. I have girls that complement my purpose. I have girls that complement what the fuck I do. I got girls that support my business. I got girls that are okay with my busy ass schedule helping clients. So then the guy's like, I got to go anyway. So you have to like leave and all that stuff. So afterwards, this reinforced what I share on my transformational retreats that I have. Like the last one I had was Labor Day weekend in Arizona. The next one's gonna be in Vegas in March 2023. On my transformational retreat, brother, I shared this with my clients. I said, no matter how much spirituality, red pill conditioning, or ice cold plunge bath, or 10-mile hikes you do, or hitting the gym you do, or how many cars you fucking get, you fucking gain, okay? If you're not fixed up here, you're screwed. Because this guy is a yogi. If you haven't healed your trauma, if you are judgmental, that guy was a judgmental person. I'm not a yogi. I'm not spiritual. But look at me. I'm not judging women. So that right there was proof in the pudding of what I said 2 weeks before I met that guy, that no matter how much spirituality you do in this world, you're not going to be saved. And there are people that have worked with me that have been going to therapy for years, but the therapist has not tackled the depths of their self-identity. And that's part of the gray male coaching. The gray male mentality is a self-identity mentality.
This is a lot of good stuff. Yeah, I think women can be a distraction if you allow them to be. But again, that comes back to the mental, because it sounds like you have a few women in your rotation, but they don't affect your work and your purpose. So
Facts. They'll be like helping with my business. Like if I
multiple
have a
girls?
woman,
You have multiple
sorry.
girls helping you with your business?
Well, in the past I did. At the moment, I'm just seeing one woman at this exact moment right now. But I had an ex-girlfriend. She was helping me with my business. I had girls who would take pictures for me for my Instagram. So like I had this one Pakistani chick that I was dating, and this girl was super fucking cool. Like she would like feed me every time I go to her apartment. Like she lived in downtown LA area, so she would feed me food. She would, oh, I remember I had to go on a live stream on YouTube one time, and I forgot one of my devices that I needed. It was like some like USB connection thing or whatever for my laptop. And I'm like, oh shit, I forgot this. And I'm like, I can't go back to my house. It's like an hour with traffic. So I said, can you do me a favor and run to 7-Eleven and go grab me this? She's like, absolutely. She didn't even ask for the money back. It's like $5, but she's like, I don't even want the money. She quickly ran to 7-Eleven and brought me some snacks too, so I can have on the live stream as well.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
Yeah. And we went to, and then about a week later, we were in downtown LA, where they have, I don't even know what it's called. I don't remember what the exact location is, but there's a bunch of like really cool lighting features that are like posted up right next to each other. And it's a very aesthetic Instagram background for like IG influencers or just couples who want to take pictures in a nice area. So
Mm.
she literally did a whole photo shoot for me, 4 locations, 4 different outfits. I kept changing in my car and she'd wait for me outside and she's taking photos for me.
Wow. That is ideal. Damn, sounds like she should still be here, man.
Yeah, I mean, I got with my ex-girlfriend. Well, at the time she was my girlfriend, right? So I got with her and I wanted to be monogamous with her. So I consciously made the intention to be monogamous with my girlfriend at the time. And I told her, hey, I really like you. I really appreciate everything you did for me, but I'm moving on with someone who I want to be serious with. So I was direct with her. I didn't lie to her and tell her, hey, I want to be in a relationship with you and lead her on. And she did all these things. I was straight up honest with
Damn, that has to hurt, man. Oh boy.
her.
So, what made you get into this field of work?
That's a great question. For me, I got into this field of work. So at the age of 16, I lost my virginity. So at 16, I was like, wow, like this is what sex is like. And I was just immediately intrigued by learning more about women and understanding how women operate, understanding what was the strategy I did to like get the result that I wanted. Now, the first time I lost my virginity, some girl messaged me on MySpace. So if any of the viewers are super young and don't know what MySpace is about, this is before Facebook, before Instagram. And you had a really cool profile that you can design and everything. And she just messaged me randomly. And I was like, okay, I mean, how do I do this? So I just started messaging her, but we did meet up. And then along the way from like 16 to, let's say, when I get into university, from 16 to then, I was still getting some play, but it was really accidental. And what I mean by that is like, I would get the opportunity to be with a girl, but I wasn't consciously doing a lot of things correctly. It just kind of happened. It kind of just fell on my lap because I I had an idea, but I wasn't really conscious and present with what do I need to do? I felt like I need to be this. I felt like I need to be that. And then the girl was just interested enough and we went at it, right? And then when I was in university, there was this one chick, Middle Eastern chick that I dated, and she was super cute. And then I remember I fumbled the situation, like even after we hooked up many times. And we were very intimate with one another. But then along the way, bro, after graduating university, I joined Toastmasters International, which is an international public speaking club. You have them in America, you got them in all 50 states, you have them in like China, they're Japan, they're literally everywhere, all around the world. For me, my biggest issue in communication was not that I'm scared to speak in front of people, but how do I collect my thoughts up here and eloquently, beautifully, and gracefully present it to people and use it influentially,
Yes.
right?
I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm the
That's okay.
exact same way. I think I have great social and communication skills, but I think sometimes I'm trying to put the correct words together in my head. And I think that's why I'm so much better at like typing or writing when I have time to really put my thoughts to paper. But like sometimes in the moment I freeze up just looking for the right phrases. So what's the name of that club that you said?
Absolutely. So think of like a toast, like cheers to everybody. So it's called Toastmasters.
And like this is like a course you have to pay for, or like is there an age? Is this a college?
No, this is a program that's just like an extracurricular thing that you can literally sign up for. You don't need any prerequisites. You just go into it. And you can find, so what you do is like if someone's interested, such as yourself, go on Google and type in Toastmaster clubs near me,
Oh, and
right?
it's like a place I go walk and go into.
Correct, exactly. So what you would do, I mean, back when I think nowadays, like since the pandemic is over, like you can
Yeah.
just go into any club now. There's no restrictions. So you can go to any club. Usually they're going to be in office buildings, or they may be in a retirement center. They could be at a school, like university. It could be almost anywhere. All you need is like a stage or a podium. You need seats, a big like sometimes people have like either just seats or they have tables. Usually they have a table because you want to write notes down. And then the whole program has changed a little bit, or has changed pretty significantly since like I was back in it when I was 26 years old. I'm 32 now, so this is like a lot, like quite a while ago, right?
Hmm.
And what I would say is when I was in the club, the way we had it structured is you do speeches. So the first speech is like an icebreaker speech, just get you to start talking because a lot of people are scared as shit to talk in
Hmm.
front of the podium. And then the next one would be like eye contact, learning how to do eye contact very well. And then while you're doing these things, you are getting critiqued by an evaluator. So the evaluator is going to say, okay, here's what you did right, Cameron. Here's what you could have done better. And then they say, this is what the plan you should have going forward with your communication and all your speeches. On top of that, you're also going to learn how to speak instantaneously. So a lot of times, guys in dating, this is where they mess up. A girl says, hey, what are you looking for? And the guy's like, oh, fuck, I don't know what to say. So then he starts being a people pleaser, which is an insecure mindset. And he's like, well, if I just tell her I want a relationship, then that means she'll want to stay with me. Oh, I want a relationship. You want a relationship? You like me so much? Yeah, yeah, yeah. And his mind is like, I'm such a lying piece of shit.
Yeah.
And I'm just like lying through my teeth. So instantaneous speaking teaches you how to know what to say on the spot. What if a girl shit tests you? We talk about this in dating all the time, right? Oh, a girl, she shit tests you and all that kind of stuff. In the red pill, they talk about that all the time. So for me, I don't have the mentality, what if a girl shit tests me? My mentality is like, I'm gonna give her a bunch of compliance tests to see if she follows my leadership. Is she down for my seduction? Is she down for my authenticity? So I'm never in like, oh my God, I hope she doesn't shit test me. I embrace whatever the girl throws at me because then I get to find out if I can disqualify her immediately. Or she's Team Cameron, she's Team Grand Cam, right? So ultimately, what instantaneous speaking does is that if you are ever put on the spot, you're not going to get nervous. You're not going to feel worried. You will still be in your authenticity and speak your truth of what you felt was right in the moment. And if it's wrong, the student will let me know. I say, here's what you could have done better. And
Mm,
that's it.
got you. I definitely got to look into that, man. I really do think I have a gift when it comes to speaking and to be influential. I just need the kind of to be put on the right path with it. So thank you so much for that.
Appreciate that.
Are you Canadian by any chance?
American.
You went to college here?
Yes, I went to college here. So I went to school in Los Angeles and I also got my master's degree in business in Los Angeles as well.
Interesting, because normally the Canadians that say university. That's why I asked.
Fair, that's a fair question. I actually thought about that and I was like, maybe, it's too, I'm sure your audience is mostly American, I'm assuming. But
Mm,
yeah, I just say university because I do speak to clients from all around the world. So I just use the word
yeah.
that just kind of resonates with everybody.
Okay. Yeah. Internationally, university is far more popular for sure.
Correct. Correct.
So, if someone is looking for a wife, do you recommend them going on dating apps?
Oh, 100%. In fact, I posted something on my Instagram story on the day of the recording of this video. There's a Indian couple that met on this app called oh man, it escapes my mind at the moment, but it's an Indian dating app
Mm,
it's called Dill Mill. That's the name of it. So I actually have been on Dill Mill before, and I just want to see like because I like all kinds of girls with all skin colors and races and shit. I'm not discriminating. I love all kinds of girls.
mhm.
As long as she's beautiful and she follows my leadership and my authenticity and respects me, I'm all for her. And on Dill Mill, this Indian couple they posted a picture of like we met on the app. It was during the pandemic. A few years later, we're married now. And I thought that was great. And I posted on my story because a lot of guys are skeptical and they think that quality women are not on dating apps. And
I
again, go ahead.
because I think I can see where the original reason for the dating app was for hookups. So oftentimes, if you're looking for a long-term relationship, you just don't associate Tinder with wife. So, but there are some very good-looking women there on the dating apps.
Facts. You know, the thing is, though, the one thing that I would say is a fair assessment. If you're trying to find a wife on Tinder, that's going to be a lot harder. Or let's say a girlfriend to make it easier, right? Because wife is like later down the road. But if we're trying to find a compatible girlfriend on Tinder, not very likely to happen. I would say you're more likely to find out on Bumble at the time of this recording because dating apps can change in popularity. Bumble and Hinge, even Facebook dating is actually pretty legit for finding a compatible girl. My last two relationships I've had were through Hinge. So it works for me. And I think you can find compatible girls everywhere.
I've heard a few people got in some long-term relationships through Hinge.
Hmm.
So that is very interesting. Wow. What do you think is the biggest turn off for women when they see a man's Tinder profile or dating app profile?
Sure. The biggest turnoff is definitely the photos are going to be judged immediately, right?
Mm,
Photos are the first thing you see. They don't care about your personality just yet. Photos are going to be the number one thing. The next thing is going to be, I would say before we get into the bio, the next thing is like, what is the energy that if I'm a woman right now looking at a man's profile, the first thing I'm going to be noticing, because women like emotional connections, they're
mhm,
not logical like us, right? If I'm a woman looking at a man profile, right?
mhm.
I want to know, can I connect emotionally with this man? Do I feel like he can tap into my mind? Do I feel like he's not going to judge me? Do I feel like he's going to liberate me from all the crazy insecurities that I have and all the emotional trauma I may have and all the emotional spikes going up and down, all that kind of stuff? Can he liberate me from this? Right? That's the number one, I think the second most important thing that she's actually considering. And then after the emotional connection, if those two are satisfied, like photos and then emotional connection, the next thing would be at a point of potential disapproving the profile could be a bio, right? So if the bio is trash, and again, the bio is an opportunity for men to be very judgmental. If you don't go to the gym, then swipe left. I mean, that is so freaking judgmental. Of course, women are understanding that body, their body is going to play a huge factor in attraction for a man. But by you saying like swipe left if you eat cake or or you
You're
don't
not vegan, yeah.
yeah, right.
I agree with that because I think women who even go to the gym, they still might swipe left just because of that comment.
Absolutely. And here's another thing too. There are women who go to the gym, but they don't feel like they're in shape. They don't feel consciously secure with their body.
Mm.
So, and you look at her like, this girl looks fit. There's no way she would think that she's fat. But then you talk to her, you're dating her, and she's like, and then let's say you're being intimate with her, and you touch her stomach, and she's like, "Oh, don't touch me there. I don't like my stomach." What do you mean, baby girl? Why do you not like your stomach? Oh, I have like these rolls. And you're like, what? Okay, yeah, like they're this big, but I mean, this is nothing. You're in shape. Look at that booty. Look how you look. Look at how. Are you kidding me? So what guys need to understand is that the bio is not about a place of judgment. In fact, nowhere in communication should you ever be judging a woman based on her past and based on her photos. Now, what I think that it's fair to judge a woman is how she communicates with you. How does she respond to you? How does she look at you? Right? That is fair assessment and casting judgment. That's okay. Because if a girl's saying F you to me or she's saying you're ugly, you're not my type, I already know she's not interested in me. So I'm not going to keep
Mm.
placating to her and kiss her ass and say, oh, well, I hope you give me a chance. I know I can move on.
Do do women flock to you because of your profession, or do you find it that it makes it more difficult?
That's a very good question. I would say, so in the past, all the girls that knew about what I did, okay, so I would say this to give a short answer first is that majority of girls, when they find out what I do, they do stay around, right? One thing I don't do is I don't talk about what I do for work, nor do I tell my clients to tell the girls what they do for work. Now, I'm not saying never tell them. And if a girl says, "Well, what do you do for work?" Oh, I can't tell you. I'm not saying that. I don't believe a man's job is important to bring up in the beginning of communication. It's not important. What's more important is how does she assess your character? How does she assess your masculinity? Because your job doesn't make you the man that you are. Just because I teach guys
Mm.
how to match with girls on dating apps and find quality women, that doesn't make me the man that I am. The man that makes me who I am is my authenticity, my boundaries, my standards, my outlook of how I feel about myself, how I carry myself in this world, how I treat others. That's my masculinity. I mean, that's just a short definition of it. So majority of girls have stayed with me. Now, there have been some girls that they saw what I did and they feel threatened by it and they feel insecure about it and they feel that I'm just trying to like make them a number, like I'm looking at them transactionally instead of like as a human being and I'm objectifying them, for example. So by that point, like when they find out and usually girls don't even ask me what I do. They just like the man that I am and how I make them feel. So they don't even give a fuck about what do you do for work. And usually when I feel like a girl asks you a question like, what do you do for work? It's like, that's her level of game and competency and communication that she can give out because she doesn't know her brain hasn't expanded into different depths of thoughts that she's never had before. So she's used to the same old, hey, what's up? What do you do for work? How long have you been on Bumble for? Dumb questions.
Yeah, what I've noticed too is that women who ask you early on what you do for work typically are more materialistic. They want to find out what you can provide for them. And in my experiences, it has not bode well for me. So that's probably the woman that you want to stay away from.
Facts. I would say it definitely has. We can't pinpoint exactly because we are not in their minds, right? But I think that's a fair assessment that you said that they can be coming from a materialistic mindset.
Mhm.
I think most of the time, I think most women are not materialistic. I think that because I know that here's the thing: guys who consume the red pill will fall into this trap that I'm not saying every red pill guy, but I think a lot of red pill guys, like because the red pill is very much like saying women are this, women are that,
Mhm.
they may fall into the trap, more likely to fall into the trap of women are materialistic and they only want Chads and Tyrones. You gotta be 6 foot tall, have $1 million, and drive a sports car and all that other shit. Gucci, Fendi, Prada, whatever.
Mhm.
And my mindset is that if a girl's asking me a question about what I do for work, I don't think she's genuinely intimately interested in me. I think she just looks at me in a way where it's like, yeah, kind of, maybe. So I don't know. Let me just ask him what he does for work. Because the way I start conversations, I don't say, how long have you been on Bumble for? Or like, what do you do for work? Or, hey, how was your weekend? I don't ask basic questions like that. I tap into a woman's passion, emotions. Like I always talk about this in my coaching. I want the guys that are the viewers of this podcast to understand this, that you don't penetrate the woman's body first. You got to penetrate the mind. You got it, my friend. You got to penetrate the mind, penetrate the soul, and the body comes after. That's it. That is the secret to women.
I tell people that I tell my guy friends that listen, the female orgasm comes way before sex. If you stimulate her emotionally and intellectually, it's a done deal. She's going to erupt. She's going to
Exactly.
erupt.
Yeah,
Uh, Getting back to the materialistic comment, I also think that women there are designed to look for security, so that might be
right.
another reason why they ask the money question, which I understand because if I had a daughter, I'd be interested in what a potential boyfriend would what his future is looking like. So I understand that as well.
I want to add to your comment right there. So I agree with you that women do need financial security. Historically,
Mhm.
traditionally, they needed financial security. But here's the thing that I want to like even challenge the men that watch this show as well, that it's not necessarily about the financial security that they should be concerned about, is do you make her feel secure up here? Because
Mm.
think about how insecure women are. Think about all the judgment that's been casted on them. Think about their toxic ex-boyfriends, all the lies, manipulation that girls have dealt with. They're all over the place. And women in general live in chaos. One day they're up here, one day they're down here. One day they're crying their tears out, the next day they're conquering the world. And the next day they're watching Netflix and crying their eyes out while eating ice cream. Right? Women are all over the place. Guys are not crying every day, or one day they're like this, one day they're like that. I mean, maybe super feminine men who are not developing themselves and are very insecure, absolutely. But women in general, they need us. They need us to liberate them. Some of the mindsets I talk about in my courses that's part of the coaching program is that I'm your liberator. And what I mean by I'm your liberator is that I'm going to liberate you from all the judgment, all the past that you have dealt with that has hurt you, has put you down. And what you're doing is you're going to break the shell of this insecurity that she's been feeling and all the pressures of life and her boss yelling at her. She's not feeling rewarded and respected at work. We open that shell and we create this graceful feminine woman that she was when she was first born. That playful, graceful feminine woman.
How does one get that liberation? How does one get that even the meanest woman to submit?
Very, very good question. It has to do with liberating yourself first as a man. If
Okay.
you are a man that's very judgmental, that's how easy it is. There's no like complex theory or explanation. It's really liberating yourself. And this is what I share with my clients as well, is that if you, because I have dealt with clients who are super, super judgmental, and they are people who are very controlling and overly domineering. And they all also have come, actually, majority of my students have come from the red pill. And I've helped them with the clarity that they need. The clarity that they need. Because I think the red pill, I'm not saying all red pill guys are like this. I've been part of the red pill for many, many, for about 2 years of my life. So I know what it's like to be red pill. I totally know the whole game. And for me, what I realized is that even though I'm a very positive person, I smile, I'm a kind guy, I was so judgmental to some degree. And I was very judgmental of myself too. And the guy that I would be referring to, or like the multiple guys I'm referring to who have been domineering and overly controlling, they don't trust themselves. They don't trust themselves and they don't trust the man that's who
Mm.
they are. Because if they did, you don't need to be controlling. You don't need to be domineering. All you need is boundaries, standards, because who can you control? Yourself. You can't control girls. If even if you told the girl, I'm going to make sure that you never cheat on me, and the only way you can go out of the house is by going to the grocery store. Well, guess what? She can meet a guy at the grocery store and go down on him in the parking lot, and you'll have no fucking clue when she comes home.
Yeah. So boundaries equal liberation, or part of it anyway.
Part of it, yeah.
So when does one bring up said boundaries?
I would say it really depends on the context. So if, let's just say, the girl, here's an example. If you have a girl that's coming over for a first date and to your house, for example, because I do house dates as a first date sometimes as well. If a girl comes over to my house on a first date and she's not wearing shoes, or excuse me, she's wearing shoes, but she doesn't take them off when she goes in the house, right?
Mm.
What I'll tell her is like, hey, please take off your shoes. And let's just say she listens, right? Perfect. We're good so far. Let's just say she comes a second time and she forgets about the rule and she doesn't take off her shoes and proceeds to walk into my kitchen. Then I'll tell her, hey, I told you already, please take off your shoes. And she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, you're right. And then she takes it off. If by the third time she does that again, then I know that she's like doing it purposefully, right? And if she doesn't show me any kind of like respect and
Mm.
she's just like giving me a hard time about it, I'm going to cancel the date immediately. No bottom half of a woman is worth anything to me if she's going to disrespect me like that, right? So that's like a very simple example.
Mm. So now you say the bottom half of the woman. I think that's interesting that you say that, which I agree with. However, assuming it seems as though that you've done your due diligence with the bottom half of women. So you think that's easy for you to say now that you have the experience and you've kind of had your fun in that field? Because a man hearing it who might not have as much access to women as you do, they might be willing to, put up a lot of BS for the bottom half.
Yeah, and that's a very fair point, and that's the problem with the man. The problem is that if he's allowing a woman, if he's not very experienced intimately with a woman and just women in general, the trap that he's running into is that how you start is how you finish. If you start with getting disrespected left to right and you bite your tongue and don't say anything, she's going to continually disrespect you. And she knows that she can leverage her body and leverage her bottom half against you. Oh, you're going to talk up to me now. Oh, big boy wants to act all tough now and you want to have some boundaries. Well, guess what? I'm not giving you some tonight. Well, no, that's not what I take back what I said. You can wear shoes in the house. See, that's not how it should be. You always got to start with a position of strength. You got to be a masculine man from the start. A masculine man doesn't allow bullshit to continually be persistent in his life. I don't think a masculine man should do that.
Wow, that's some good stuff. So
Thank you.
what do the women in your family, if you have any, say about the content that you do?
I've had women in my family comment and say, this sounds it sounds very playerish. It sounds even, I've said it sounds kind of misogynistic, but honestly, I don't give a fuck. I do not care what my family thinks about it. I'm just going to do whatever I want to do because this is my calling. My passion, my dream is to help men all around the world. My passion is to be a public speaker and be internationally well known, to have a lifestyle where I can travel to different places, not just be in my state, but be all over the US. If I want to go stay in a log cabin in Montana for about a week and do my online business and help my students through coaching, I'm more than happy to do that. I'm not going to stop what I want to do just because a woman in my family has a problem with it. I've had men in my family, by the way, bring up my coaching too. See, back then, I'll tell you this. The biggest issues that my family had with me was when I was red pilled, just to let you know. When I was red pilled, I was like speaking out a lot on like things. I would argue with my parents. I would argue with my relatives, women this, women that, hypergamy and all this other shit, right? I would just say these things. And and that's when I had the most issues with my family. But my message is this, and I don't care what anyone fucking says, is that my message is for men to be authentic, is for men to be transparent, to be direct with women about what their intentions are, and to build a authentic online presence so that they can find the dream woman that they want. Or if you want to have a rotation of girls, More power to you. More power to you. I'm not going to judge that. Do whatever the fuck you want, but make sure you're honest with women.
That's key. I hear the rotation. It can be pretty risque doing that.
Not necessarily. It's not necessarily. I mean, I have to add a comment to that. It's not that it's like it's only risky for a man who doesn't know how to handle if you can't handle one girl, you should not have a rotation of women. Because if you cannot handle one chick, what makes you think you can handle two chicks or three chicks? And there are guys in the RP that are like, I aspire to have a harem of girls. I'm like, bro, if you can't handle one girl, how the hell do you expect to have a harem? And I tell my boys who are interested in rotations that these girls, they got to know they're hooking up with other girls too. You got to be upfront about that. So then there's no like, oh, I thought I was the only one. A man with game, a man with self-identity and experience of his masculinity, is very deep in his masculinity, he doesn't give a fuck. He wants girls to disqualify him and like walk away and say, I don't want to be part of this. I want women to walk away from me if I tell them the truth. Because then I know, how serious is she for me? Does she team Grand Cam? Or she wants to go find another guy who's not going to be like this? That's fine. I kept it real with you. You're not down for me? That's fine.
If she walks away, she was gonna walk away from you sometime down the road anyway. So
Facts.
I actually hear that in this content space that I actually hear that more times than not, men are typically more the haters than the women.
Facts.
Have you found that
Absolutely.
true? Wow.
Absolutely. The red pill, let me just, what? Someone has told me this as like an analogy that the red pill is like a male version of feminism. And I'm not talking about a male feminist. I'm talking about it's the polar, like if we have feminism over here, the red pill's over here.
Mm-hmm.
And MGTOW and black pill and all these other colored pills, they're all over here. And what these red pill ideologies, I know like there are guys that are watching this or super red pilled or they really like the red pill. More power to you. If you like the red pill, go for it. But my whole thing of why I have red pill guys that turn to my coaching is because I let them know that the red pill has taken you away from your self identity. Because when you become this fucking hater of women and you're judgmental of women, then you're taken away from your self identity because your self identity is not really a hater. You're really not this hateful person. You're a man who is unhealed and doesn't understand why he's super judgmental. And you think just telling a woman that she's hypergamous and when and only one high value man, that's judgmental. Not all women want the same shit that high value, whatever the fuck these people talk about. That's my opinion on it.
Yeah, definitely. Good stuff. Good stuff. So, what do you think is the biggest piece of advice that you would give a man when it comes to socializing with women?
The biggest piece of advice I can give men for socializing with women is I have a speech on this that I cover in my transformational retreats. The next one I'll do in Vegas, it's going to be on bringing positive and attractive energy everywhere you go. And the reason why I talk about this is because I'm not talking about seduction here. I'm not talking about like getting numbers. What I'm talking about is being a man who's positive and energetic, because when you're positive and energetic and you go to a bar, you get hooked up a lot. Like if you're at a bar, you might get a free shot from some dude out of nowhere. Hey man, you look cool. You want a free shot? Sure, I'll take a free shot with you.
Literally.
You'll have girls that randomly may come up to you. And I don't mean like, they'll flock, like 30 girls will flock up to you, but like the opportunity to open a honest, authentic, positive interaction with a woman because she feels your energy, it makes sense. So a lot of guys, they dress well. They may dress similar to me. They'll go to the bar, but they don't get approached. Or when they approach a girl, the girl's like, I'm not really into this. And the reason why is because energetically they're lacking. Energetically, they're just something's off. They're not centered. They're not balanced. They're not within their self-identity. They're too much in the ego. They're too much in being judgmental. But for me, my clients see it. When they were with me in my transformational retreat, I was getting hooked up. My clients were getting hooked up because I was just giving them my positive and energetic vibes. And they saw it and they finally got to meet me in person. They're like, oh, so this is what Cam is about. Now I see how he's able to get hooked up by people. I've been to Vegas before so many times where people just invite me to their table because they like my energy. I didn't pay a fucking single dollar except tipping the bottle service girl just to be at least supportive, not just be like a mooch and drink everything for free. So these guys like it, and like they hooked me up. The girls hooked me up, and I just have this really good energy about me that makes me very easy to talk to. And I have people that open up to me about super deep or traumatic things because they can just trust me. Because I'm a very positive person. I'm very easy to talk to. So I think that's what guys need to have as far as the biggest piece of advice when they're socializing with women.
That is something that I definitely would like to incorporate. I've noticed that though when I've gone out, you just have good energy, you socializing, people are interested in talking to you. Like both men and women, bartenders, DJs, like they just like, wow, this guy's fun.
Mm-hmm. Facts.
That is all the questions I have for you today. Thank you so much for taking the time out to speak to me. It means a lot.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. And last thing I'll say to guys is that appreciate the podcast, support the podcast as well. And if you guys want to follow me on Instagram, it's Coach Gray and Cam. And I do have my transformational retreat that's coming out in March, Vegas. It's going to be in Vegas, March 2023. I have my website, which is thegrandmail.com, where you can learn more about my coaching. And feel free to shoot me a DM. I'm here for you guys. I want to have an honest, authentic conversation, and I love to support you guys. And again, thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I really appreciate that.
God bless.